Week 1, select, move, and align objects, and also making direct selections. So we've talked about how to select objects using the selection tool. When we click on an object, we see anchor points. We're able to see the paths. We see typically our box around our objects or our selections. So when we're using the selection tool, we select the entire object, and you can either click or you can do that marquee click where you click and drag. Now when I move to the tool next door, it's the direct selection tool, and this direct selection tool acts like the selection tool except for it directly selects an individual anchor point or a single path. If I do select in the center, it will select the entire object. So if I move to the same graphic here, and this is the hard part, is trying to locate where those anchor points are, but if you drag, you notice that it will highlight with a white box. So if I click right here, what's going to happen, you'll see something a little bit different. I see these are white, actually. White little anchor points, and the darkened filled anchor point, this depends on the color that's associated with the layer. More to come in the future on that. But you'll see it's darkened, and that indicates that that is the selected anchor point. So now I can just click and drag that anchor point, and you can see how the possibilities are just endless now that I can start tweaking individual anchor points. What you also see here are handles. This is a direction handle because I can steer the way that my curve is going to go. Right? And this will be covered more when we talk about the pen tool. Now you can see it's a little lopsided. We also have a tool underneath, which is a group selection tool, and it just does just that. It works with groups. We'll get into more detail as we go through the semester with that tool. I do have a way that I can select everything. I can select all, Control A. I can select all that's active on my artboard. Deselect is Control Shift A, so I'm adding that Shift modifier key. I also can select objects that have the same same fill and stroke, same opacity, same stroke weight, and I can select specific types of objects as well. So there are ways that I can really pinpoint, nail down specifically how to make my selections. If I want to move an object, again, if I use my selection tool, I'm able to select the whole entire object. If I use my direct selection tool, I directly click a point. Now, if I go straight from my selection tool to my direct selection tool, all anchor points will stay selected. All right, if I hit the center point here, I can move. Oops, I'm doing something odd. Move it with my direct selection tool. That's a little bit more tricky though. If I want to just move one pixel at a time on my artboard, I would go to my arrow keys. So up and down, left and right. Those will move it one pixel at a time. Now I'm zoomed in quite far here. If I do a double click on my hand tool, I'll make my artboard fit within my window. If I double click on my zoom tool, it'll take me to 100%, and I can verify that right here. So I'm going to just scroll up to see. Now if I do my arrow keys here, let's go to the selection tool, and my arrow keys, you can see it is really moving only one pixel at a time. If I hold shift and the arrow, I'm going to move it 10 pixels at a time. Okay. Whenever I take my object and I start moving and I hold shift, I will constrain it to either a straight, horizontal, a vertical, and this one really wants to go in an angle, 45-degree angle. So I'm able to constrain my movements that way using that shift key. One other item that I can do, under window we have an align panel, and so this align panel allows us to organize our objects, align them. So one of the things I don't see at this point are the extra options. In this case, I'm going to use my drop-down menu and do a show options. So this is where I can tell it what to align to, whether to align to the selection or to the artboard. So I'm going to choose selection, and if I select all of these using my selection tool and doing a marquee selection, I can choose to center them. I can choose to have all of them aligned to their bottom. And there they did. This one just moved down slightly. The cool thing here is I also have a distribute, so I can distribute them, meaning that it'll equally space whatever objects. And I'm doing it between my selection. I can also do that to the artboard, and it would space them equally from edge to edge of the artboard.